Hello and welcome to your Staff's Live Sports Bulletin at 12:15. I'm Matty Roper.
And I'm Connor Shaw. Coming up, Pochettino receives a touchline ban.
England victorious in St Lucia.
And Phil Neville wins his first silverware as Lionesses manager.
We start with some breaking news now, and Andy Murray has said he is pain-free after hip surgery, but his chances of playing at Wimbledon this year are less than 50%. The three-time Grand Slam champion said the operation was the only option if he wanted to return to the court competitively.
Tottenham have played all their games at the National Stadium this season, but it looks like they'll be waving goodbye to Wembley.
I expect to play on the new stadium, of course. We were talking yesterday with Daniel and he was very, very positive. I hope yes, and my wish is to play in our new stadium.
That was Spurs manager Mauricio Pochettino, who seemed confident about the chances of playing their Champions League quarter-final tie at the new stadium. But he wasn't too happy after their defeat to Burnley last month. Pochettino has been given a too-much touchline ban and fined £10,000 by the Football Association for angrily confronting referee Mike Dean. The Argentine will serve his ban in the Premier League games against former club Southampton and Liverpool.
On to last night's action. Real Madrid's 1,011-day reign as European champions is over after they were beaten 4-1 at home by Dutch side Ajax. Tottenham eased past Borussia Dortmund to reach the quarter-finals for the first time since 2011 as Harry Kane becomes the club's top scorer in Europe. In tonight's action, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes Manchester United are more than capable of making history as they aim to turn around a 2-0 deficit against Paris Saint-Germain in their last 16 Champions League tie.
Obviously we need the first goal and we need to stay in the game until, if there's half an hour left and there's only one goal in it, anything can happen. We need a good plan. It needs to be put in place and we need to perform on the night, of course, because they are a team full of quality.
But it looks like United will be without Alexis Sanchez after he suffered a knee injury in their game against Southampton.
Yeah, it looks like he might be out for... it was a bad knee injury, so if it's 4 weeks or 6 weeks, hopefully he'll recover quickly.
Eusebio Di Francesco's future at Roma is in the balance ahead of their last 16 tie with Porto tonight. It is rumoured that the Italian could be sacked if they lose to the Portuguese champions.
He's been frozen out of the Stoke City squad, and now Saido Berahino has pleaded not guilty to a drink-drive charge dating back to last month. The 25-year-old appeared at Highbury Corner Magistrates Court this morning and launched a verbal attack on the press outside. The Burundi International was stopped by police last month after officers were called to an incident outside VQ, a 24-hour restaurant near London's West End. He was granted unconditional bail until his trial on May 15th.
In the Championship, Derby County are only outside of the playoff positions on goal difference after coming from behind to beat struggling Wigan 2-1 at Pride Park last night. Second half goals from Mason Bennett and Scott Malone were enough to secure a first win in 4 matches. Here's Derby boss Frank Lampard.
The position we are as a club, we've got so many injuries, we've played so many games. It was normal a patch like this comes and everyone sort of homes in on it. But the fact is, we've had a good season. The first half of the season, some really good stuff, and now it puts us joint 6th, and we have to be proud of that, and we have to have some ambitions to keep that and try and keep getting points.
England women have won the Shebelieves Cup for the first time after thrashing Japan 3-0 in their final match in Tampa. Lucy Staniforth, Karen Carney and Beth Mead scored all the goals for the Lionesses. Here's England manager Phil Neville.
We're not going to start moonwalking backwards because people are starting to say that we've got a good team and that we're going to do well. We've actually got to puff our chests out and say, do you know what, this is where we want to be. My players are at their best when they're challenged. They're at their best when they're playing on the big occasions.
And in the studio we have football correspondent Molly Hudson. Molly, first of all, what did you make of the game last night?
I think it was a really impressive performance from the Lionesses. It's a little bit difficult to work out how much we can actually take from it because both the England and the Japan lineup had several changes, probably looking ahead to the World Cup group game. So I think both managers kept their cards quite close to their chest, but it was certainly good to get the win for England.
A first Shebelieves Cup for England and first silverware for Phil Neville. Who stood out the most for you?
I think there's a lot of talent in the squad, particularly from the younger players. So Kira Walsh, the Manchester City midfielder, she was really impressive for England. Her crossfield ball for Beth Mead's goal was probably the pass of the tournament, and she's been really calm and composed on the ball, particularly when she played against the US, who were some of the best players in the world. Beth Mead has also been really impressive. She's been in good goal scoring form for Arsenal, and she's got 2 goals in 3 games in this tournament, so she's managed to translate that into a national shirt.
The World Cup is coming up this summer. What areas can the team improve ahead of that?
I think it's really important we sort out our defending from set pieces. That's something that's looked really weak against the teams both in this tournament and in the friendlies we played before this. I think also, I know Phil Neville likes to describe his goalkeeper as just another outfield player, but I think it would be really helpful if we could find our number 1 and build our team around that.
Thank you, Molly.
In rugby, New Zealand captain Kieran Reid has confirmed that he will retire from the international stage after the World Cup in Japan later this year. The 33-year-old has made 118 appearances for the All Blacks, helping his country to World Cup wins in 2011 and 2015. Reid will leave the Crusaders to join Toyota Vlerbitz next year, and he says that he's looking forward to being able to focus on his rugby.
Yes, I think it's important, as Steve said, that we got it out of the way really, and we can just focus on what the year lies ahead, and certainly right now with the Crusaders, and then with the All Blacks later on. So I think it's probably going to be a bit refreshing for myself. That everyone, I guess, knows exactly where I'm heading, and can just focus on the footy.
On to cricket. Johnny Bairstow's blistering half-century led England to a 4-wicket win over the West Indies in the first T20 International in St Lucia. Bairstow led England to a successful chase of 161 with a career best 68 from 40 balls, and he described the victory as great fun.
The plans in which they executed today, obviously at the top of the order, saying right and identifying where Gale has been so destructive in that one-day series was huge. It's a complete change of feel, complete change of tack, and Dave Woolley swinging it away the way that TC bowled and got 4 through with his variations. You know what it's like playing Test cricket, playing for over a period of time. You go through peaks and troughs, and then you get that freedom to go out in a T20 and just play. And look, it was great fun and really enjoyed it. Let's move on to St Kitts, and hopefully we do the same again.
International events in India are at risk of being cancelled after a fallout between the Indian government and the International Olympic Committee. With more is our reporter, James Horton.
India is set to lose hosting rights for a plethora of big-ticket events as more sporting bodies follow the example set by the International Olympic Committee, who have suspended the country's right to host global events. Competitions that have already been granted to India are in threat of being cancelled, including the men's FIH Hockey Series finals, which is set to take place in Bhubaneswar in June, and the Commonwealth Table Tennis Championships due to take place in Odisha this July. But competitions currently in the bidding process and set to take place in 2020 may be the biggest loss to the country, with Asia-Oceania Olympic boxing qualifiers and the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup both now likely to go to one of the other bidding nations. The IOC made the decision to suspend global competition in the nation after the Indian government refused to grant entry visas to 2 Pakistani competition shooters and their coach for the recently concluded World Cup, and with the Indian government refusing to offer assurances to the IOC until after a general election in April and May this year, it seems this standstill of international sport in India will be stuck at an impasse for a while yet. James Horton, Staffs Live.
The IAAF have announced they will review their rules and make a decision regarding Laura Muir's controversial running shoes. Questions were raised when the middle distance runner set a new British indoor mile record in what was a Nike prototype racing spike. When the IAAF rules state that any type of shoe used must be reasonably available to all in the spirit of athletics. Muir won 2 golds at the European Championships in Glasgow this weekend, and she was surprised the competition was not closer.
No, I expected the girls maybe to be a little bit closer because I left it that late, but I didn't know what was going around me. The crowd was so loud.
3 years after hosting their last E-Prix, Formula E is returning to Britain in a multi-year agreement. London will host the final 2 events of the 2020 season on the 25th and 26th of July, which will feature a new 23-turn track spanning 2.4 kilometres.
And just in, the ICC have banned former Zimbabwe cricket director Enoch Ikope from all cricket activity for 10 years after an anti-corruption tribunal found him guilty of breaching 3 counts of the anti-corruption code in regards to mishandling of the official ICC documentation. Zimbabwe captain Graham Kramer worked alongside the ICC in the investigation, and the organisation thanked him for his help.
And that's all for all of your latest sport. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with more.
That's all one sentence, by the way. That's all one.